What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's good to have you here. Look, I want to talk to you today about my very first real and powerful spiritual experience. But in order to sort of kind of get you to the place that I'm trying to go to, I'm going to have to give you a little bit of my background, and I understand that we all have a story. We all have, our traumas that we have to deal with in life. So I will spare you a lot of the details. I will only give you what is necessary for you to know for this video. So please, please, please bear with me here. Okay. Now, I was born into an abusive household. My father was a very angry and abusive man. And when he added alcohol into the equation, it just became intensified. And he was really only around for a couple years in my young life. And when I was in like the first and second grade. And it seemed like, to me anyway, every night he was just beating my mom every night. And so I just kind of had to sit in my room and disassociate because there was nothing that I could do. I couldn't fight my dad. I couldn't protect my mom. I was scared. I just sit in my room and almost like sometimes black out from the fear or the anger sometimes that I was feeling. But I just had to completely disassociate from life there from a young age, and it messed me up mentally. I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. And I would just go to school and really just beat kids up because I was so angry all the time and didn't know how to deal with it, right? When I was 13, I began to smoke weed. But the first weekend that I smoked weed, I didn't only smoke weed. I also drank my first beer. I also smoked my first pack of cigarettes in a day. I also sniffed my first line of cocaine and ate my first eighth of mushrooms, all in one weekend when I was 13. And it snowballed out of control after that. By the time I was 17, I was fully addicted to cocaine and certain pain pills and weed. By the time I was like 20, I was intravenously using drugs or, injecting drugs, heroin and crack or cocaine mainly, every day for a couple years. And throughout this process, I got into a lot of trouble. Like from the ages 13 to 22, I had ended up being locked up 27 times, in various juvenile detention centers. And then in my adult life, I went to jail quite a few times, went to prison once. I've been to like 3 different rehabs, both inpatient and outpatient, all of these types of things. I had the whole experience of being a drug addict. Homeless for years. My mom kicked me out when I was 15 and I kind of couch surfed. But when I was 20 years old in Florida, I was homeless for a year. Like literally sleeping on sidewalks, using water bottles for pillows and stuff. So I had that whole experience. Now, I have been introduced to spirituality, or really I've been introduced to religion at a young age. Like my parents used to make me go to church. And I didn't really like being forced to go to church, but I went. And I enjoyed it, but I didn't get any spiritual benefit from it. Like nothing ever moved me. I heard the gospel from the pastor, but like it had no effect on me. I did enjoy it. And when I say I enjoyed church, I mean I had friends that went to church, right? That's why I went to church, because I had some friends that also went to the church. Then I began to coach the young kids basketball team at the church, and I really enjoyed that. So I got something out of it, but it wasn't really totally spiritual. You understand what I'm saying? Like I didn't become a believer or anything like that. Nothing really moved me at church. Now, when I was 21, 22, I ended up getting in trouble in Florida, and I had to sit in this county jail for about a year. And while I was there, I met a friend. I made a friend. Now, and I'm friendly, dude. I can get along with anyone, but rarely will I use this word friend. I use this very sparingly in my life. I don't have very many friends. But I met this gentleman. His name was Ruben. Ruben became my friend. And Ruben was a Christian. But he wasn't this guy. He never really he didn't push it on me, right? He became my friend. never tried to push the religion on me. I mean, maybe he would mention his own beliefs, but he would never try to project them onto me or to tell me what I should be doing with my life. Very, very friendly dude. I shared like some of my deepest, darkest secrets with him because he provided this safe environment for me. And he shared with me as well. We became close. He was like my mentor in there, basically. I just followed this dude around. There was something about him that was attractive to me. Now, I had been homeless prior to getting locked up. And it was pretty close to my release date. I believe I only had a couple weeks to go. But I was conflicted about what I should do when I got out because I didn't really want to go back to using drugs. But at the same time, I really did want to get out of jail and go and get high. And at this time, by this time, I had my son. I had my son young when I was like 17. And because I was getting in trouble, I wasn't in his life, okay? I wasn't eligible to be a father or to even be a dad to my son. And I was kind of excluded from his life. Which was for the better, okay? Which was for the better. So I was dealing with that, right? Like I felt like I abandoned my son, and he lived in a few states away. So I didn't know if I should get out and go there and be homeless and try to get back on my feet. Like at least I would be close to my son, you know what I mean? But I was just real conflicted. One night, now get ready because we're about to get into this whole experience here, and so. So one night I called my sister who lived in Texas, and she also in her life had suffered with substance abuse issues. But by this time she had gotten over it. She was like 4 years clean and sober. And I called her, and when I called her, she was at an NA meeting. That's Narcotics Anonymous. It's for like people who are trying to quit drugs. They need a support system to get sober. And so you go to these meetings, right? So she was very involved in the program of Narcotics Anonymous. And when I called her, she was actually at a meeting, a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. And I asked her if she could have some people there write me words of encouragement, because I really didn't want to get out of jail and start using drugs and enter into this cycle all over again. And she agreed. You know, she said that she would have them send me some letters. And they did too. Like, I think it was a week later, I got like 70 postcards in the mail from people that I didn't know that were telling me how much they loved me and that they knew that I could make it through this and all of this, that they had been exactly where I'm at. Now they're doing so much better, and to have faith. And those letters weren't just for me. I handed them out in the jail, and everyone read them. So everyone got some words of encouragement there. Everyone who decided to read those, which I had like 12 guys that were just reading the postcards with me. You know, people that don't get mail. And they, you know, and so this mail was meant for them as well. So I talked to her, and she offered me a place to stay. She said she had an extra room in her house that I could come and live in to get back on my feet. And she had 2 conditions for this to happen. The first one was that I could never use drugs ever again. The second condition was that I had to attend a Narcotics Anonymous once a day while I lived with her. And I said, okay, I'll think about it and I'll let you know. But I was excited. Like that was a big thing for me, because my family had just totally, you know, they didn't want anything to do with me because I was a real monster at one point in my life. Now, I was so excited when I got off the phone. I wanted to share this news with my friend, Ruben. But I couldn't find this guy anywhere. Man, I was looking for him, but I couldn't find him. When I found him, though, being the Christian that he was, he took it upon himself to do Bible studies in the jail. And so that's where he was. He was in this room, closed off from everybody else, with like 6 other guys, and they were doing a Bible study. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to go in there, dude. Like, I'm not going in there, you know what I mean? But I decided that I was going to go in there to just to tell Reuben what happened on the phone and then leave. And so I just walked into the Bible study and totally interrupted it. I was like, yo, Reuben, yo, I got to talk to you, man. Let me tell you this, man. And Reuben looked at me like this. He said, man, don't you see what's going on? Why don't you sit down and listen? And I was like, whoa. Like, I was taken aback because Reuben had never been like firm with me, never been stern with me like that before. And so it kind of like, I was like, whoa, dude, my bad. Like, yeah, sure, I'll sit down, I guess. Because, like, he had so much authority in his voice right then. I was like, okay. I just kind of slid down the wall and took a seat. And what they were talking about, Reuben was sharing, like, the crucifixion story of Christ. But he shared it in a way that, like, I never heard before. Like, you know, he didn't spare any of the gruesome details. And I was like, wait, dude, is this the same thing that they're talking about in church, bro? Because I didn't know that all of this happened. I didn't know that, you know, that he was basically like tortured so bad during the process of this. What a horrible death. Basically, that's how it hit me. And I felt really bad. And I also related to God, right? So if Jesus is the only begotten Son of God, according to Christianity, how horrible of an ordeal would this be for God to know from the beginning of time that he would give up his only Son to a world that would destroy him or attempt to destroy him, right? Like how horrible would that be to know this? And I related because I felt like I had abandoned or given up my own son. And so I felt shame. I felt shame in myself. I felt shame that I was a part of the human race that could treat another human so bad. I can't really explain it to you, but I felt like empathy towards God. And I was truly sorry for God. And at the end of Reuben's speech, he looked at each of us and he said, you know what, man, this is the most important thing that you could do in your entire life. After this, you need to go straight to your bed and hit your knees and pray harder than you've ever prayed in your life for forgiveness. And I was like in tears already. And I was like, okay, man, I'm going to go pray. So I went to my room right after this Bible study. And I'm in 6-man cells and I'm crying in front of 5 roommates and they're all over there, you know, like, oh man, Zach's depressed, man. Look how sick he is, man. You know, like kind of like making fun of me for crying or whatever. And I just got in my bed and I covered up under the sheets. And it was about time for lights out anyway. At this point, I got up under my sheets, man, just crying. And I was praying. And I was saying sorry. But I was not asking for forgiveness. Okay? I was genuinely sorry for God. And so that's what I was praying. I, like, you know, basically kind of along the lines like, dude, God, I'm so sorry that you had to go through this, that you had to witness this happen to your only son, man. I couldn't imagine what it would be like, dude. And I'm so sorry. I'm ashamed in just humanity in general. And I carried on this sort of prayer for like 2 hours, dude. I've never prayed that long in my life, but for like hours, I was stuck there praying until at a certain point, it wasn't even like I was using words. I was just using my emotions in a form of prayer. And after about 2 hours, something happened. I felt something, a presence. I felt peace in my soul for the first time in a long time. All of my anger just faded away. All of my guilt just faded away. I felt it. Forgiveness. I had forgiven myself and God had forgiven me. This was a great gift to me. I felt it. Okay, I don't know how to explain it, but it was an extremely intense feeling of just peace and happiness. It was like God took his own like blanket out of the dryer and wrapped it around me and cuddled me or something. Dude, it felt amazing. Now, after this happened, after this experience, I continued to pray. But I asked God for a sign. But I didn't ask God for a sign like, please show me that this is you and that you're real. No, I just experienced something that let me know that it was real. So I didn't ask for a sign like that. Instead, I was really asked for advice, for guidance. Because like I said, I was about to get out of jail and I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should, come to Texas and live with my sister and try to get clean and get back on my feet. Or should I go, closer to where my son lives and try to be there? Or should I just stay in Florida? Or should I get out and get high for a week and then go to Texas and try to get clean? Because that was my plan originally, was to get out and get high with my friends for a week or two and then make my way to Texas and get off the drugs, right? So I asked God, I said, please, can you show me? Can you tell me what I'm supposed to do? And then I went to sleep. Now, I woke up in the morning and one of my roommates was reading the newspaper. And this is important, okay? This is so important to the story. The way that the newspaper worked in this facility, okay? I was in a jail, so I'm in a cell block. You call it cell block D. And there's two sides. There's an A side and a B side. And I was on B side. When the newspaper comes out daily, A side gets it the day that it comes out. So the newspaper comes to B side where I am a day late. So my roommate was reading the paper from yesterday. From yesterday morning, the morning of the day that I called my sister when she was at the NA group and I asked her to have all of these people write me and she told me that I could live with her. You follow? So my roommate gave me the newspaper and I opened it straight to the horoscope section and I read my horoscope. My horoscope said, you may have a conversation with a female acquaintance, possibly in a group setting. Join forces with her and you will become doubly strong. My mind was fucking blown, man. Excuse my language. My mind was blown, though. I had no idea what just happened. I was like, dude, the sign. It's a sign. You see? So I knew what I needed to do. I knew I needed to come to Texas. I knew I needed to get on the phone right then and there and call my mom and say, look, I'm moving to Texas. I need your help. I need a bus ticket. Well, guess what, dude? I called my mom and I said, hey, I think I'm going to go to Texas and live with Heidi. And she said, yeah, I know. I bought your bus ticket last night. I was like, I didn't even consider it. I wasn't like, how did she know? I mean, maybe my sister and her talked that night and then they decided that that's what I was going to do without my consent or something. But it did kind of blow my mind a little bit. I was like, dang, okay, I just accepted it though. I was like, everything was on point. Everything was going there. And that really changed my perspective on life, showed me that there was something else that was possible. There was an entire new world for me. Man, everything was brighter. Everything was shining. I was happy. I wasn't depressed anymore. I didn't even have the urge to use drugs. I didn't use any drugs after that. My entire life completely changed and it thrust me into this spiritual path, this pursuit of God. And it's such a beautiful thing, man. I'm sorry this video was so long, but man, I just really wanted to share it with you, dude. It was such a powerful experience. And I've had, a few more. I'll make videos in the future if you want to hear about it. But let me know if this resonated with you, man. Leave a comment, like the video, man. Let me know what's going on in your mind. And please share with me any sort of experience that you've had. Just share it with me, dude, because I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I love hearing testimonies from people, and why and how their life has changed and all of this, right? So, man, anyway, dude, I really appreciate y'all being here and listening to me ramble on, man. Until next time, though, I hope you continue to free your mind.